Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to talking about I Survived the Japanese Tsunami. Before you do today's video and assignment, make sure that you have read both Reading A to Z books, the one called Tsunamis and also the one called Owen and the Tortoise. Make sure you have your paper and your pencil ready, and let's get started. So today, our goal is to compare and contrast important details in a text. So we're going to talk about how do we find important details, and then how do we compare and contrast them. The first thing we need to ask ourselves is, what are important details? How can I find the details that are truly important in my book? So you can find them by asking yourself these type of questions. Who's in the story? What are they doing? Where are they? When does it take place? Why does it take place, and how? So if you're looking at those type of words, who, what, where, when, why, how, those question words, it's really going to help you find important details in the story. So the second question we might ask ourselves is, what does it mean to compare? If you are comparing something, you are saying what is the same about two things. Comparing is the same. So if it's compare, it's equal, it's the same. But then if you're contrasting, it means what is different about those two things. So compare is the same and contrast is different. We also have this other little word, similar. Usually you're going to hear when people are comparing things, they're going to say what is similar about them. That's because similar means it's kind of the same, but not exactly. Very rarely are you going to have two things in a book that are exactly the same, but you might have things that are similar. Like, the main characters are different people, but both of them are girls, so they're similar. Or in our books, one is fiction and one is nonfiction, but they are similar because they are still both about tsunamis. Speaking of our two books, here are some pictures that can help us compare. We're just going to compare for this part of the video. Compare what is the same and different about, or no. Speaking of similar, we are going to compare some things about the book Tsunamis and some things about the book Owen and the Tortoise using their illustrations, just like we did last time. So, for example, in Tsunamis, you see this map from the very first page marking where the tsunami they were talking about took place. And in this Owen and the Tortoise, in this map, you see another picture of the same place marked. That is because one thing that is similar, one thing we can compare about these two books is they're both focusing on the earthquake that took place over here in Indonesia. It's the same place. When we are comparing these books, Tsunamis and Owen and the Tortoise, we can also talk about the fact, what are they about? They're both about tsunamis. Even though one is nonfiction, the tsunami book is nonfiction, and one is fiction for Owen and the Tortoise, they are still both about the same topic. They are both about tsunamis. Another similarity of these two stories is how the story happens. So both of them talk about all of the destruction and devastation that a tsunami can leave behind. So in Tsunamis, it shows us the city in Indonesia where you can see before the tsunami and after. You can see all that devastation, also like all the mud and debris that comes up. And in Owen and the Tortoise, we see when he washes onto the shore, we also see all the mud and debris and devastation left behind. So there are similar types of devastation in both books. In your assignment today, you're going to use these two books to try to find what is different about them. I just showed you 3 ways they were the same. I want you to find 3 ways that they are different. So in our video today, we talked about how we can compare and contrast important details in a text using those words who, what, where, when, why, how. We also talked about how compare and similar are both kind of the same thing. They're going to be used a lot together, and that similar really means things that are almost the same, but not exactly. That's it until I see you guys next time.